Good morning, folks. Good evening. Good afternoon. How are you doing today? We have the one, the only, and yes, the legendary Anna Kelly with us this morning. How you doing, Anna?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
Every day Saturday. Every day Saturday. Good. It's a good life. So
Yes.
I've seen a trend on topics, and it's again just these people fishing for negative news, right? Getting preached the world is falling, and you'll get a lot of clicks. But I thought we would just have a discussion about it, and that is, hey, the housing market's hot. There's no supply. People are over, 50, 60, 100 grand over, waiving appraisals, all this nonsense going on in the real estate world. So I thought we should step back and just go, hey, would you, if you were doing owner occ first purchase, would you regret buying a home in 2021? Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is no. I thought we'd just debate, you know, that kind of conversation.
Great. So I'll say I bought a home in 2020, right? So not less than a year ago.
Yep.
I've bought lake house, I bought a beach house, and I have absolutely no worries and no regrets at all buying houses in this market.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons because my interest rate's below 3% on all three of them. And so
crazy.
when you have a high dollar home, because we're in maybe an upward market, maybe at the teetering of hyper supply in certain areas of the country, but you have super low interest rates, the long-term impact of that is not much different than low prices and high rates, which is where we were a couple of years ago.
Exactly, folks. It's about payments. Do the math, right? Again, is it feasible? Again, I'll just make numbers up, right? A 500K home with a 2% mortgage is one payment. A 450 home with a 4% mortgage probably is a bigger payment, right? We're talking about payments here. So the one thing I always come back to in this conversation is, and it's really what blew up a lot of people last time. If you are buying a home today because you are betting on appreciation, right? You are buying it because you think it's going to go up 100 grand in 6 months. You are going to regret buying a home. But that's not why most people buy a home. They're buying a home to live in, to raise their family. If they're going to stay there, I don't know, certainly 10 years and probably 5 years, I don't know why you would regret buying a home today. I just don't understand the logic unless you're buying, you're in one of those cities where the population is leaving, right? By like significant percentages. If you're in a market where there's one employer and that's going offshore, I mean, there are unique circumstances where you could get caught, but for heaven's sake, that's not a national conversation. We have so many things going on right now that bodes well for housing, right? We have millennials quickly aging into being 33, which is the first time buyer age. We have baby boomers aging in place because they're healthier longer. We have work from home. We have, just space is good. There's so many things going on right now. Yes, buying a home is hard. Yes, it's hard. I do think supply is coming. But yeah, for most people, 90, again, really it boils down to if you're buying for appreciation, probably not a good idea, but I just don't see it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think you touched on most of the points there. And, when it comes to buying your own home, which is kind of what we're talking about primarily, right?
Yep.
You're really looking at affordability. What can I afford? And the National Association of Realtors had a big conference call earlier this year that I got invited to attend.
Ooh.
And they showed that nationally, the average home price compared to where it was 2 years ago, with the rates that we had 2 years ago, the difference in payment is $40 a month. $40 more a month today to own that house that's, maybe at the top of the market, overpriced, versus $40 less if I bought it 2 years ago. That is one meal out at Applebee's for two people, So it's like, as long as you're going to hold on to that home for a long time, it's really about what can you afford, not where is the price. But that long term is really the key, right? And I talk to a lot of people about, they say, should I buy a house now or should I rent? I don't want to throw money away renting, right? And my answer is always, if you're going to have that house for less than 5 to 7 years, don't buy it. Rent.
I agree.
But if you're going to hold it for 5 to 7 years, you're going to start building up some equity regardless of what the market does, right? So make your home purchase a long-term decision, But if you're transient and you're moving around a lot for your job, or maybe you're a doctor or you change states for different hospitals,
Yeah.
you might not want to buy a house right now because houses are higher priced in certain markets. And maybe if you've got to sell in a year or two when we have some, coming back down of the economy, if you're at a peak, things start to come back down toward recession. If you think that's going to happen, don't buy a house unless you're going to hold it for a while. And as long as you're going to hold it for a while, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. Again, if you're buying, I think 7 years is the number, right? If you're going to be in the home, like we were just talking before we hit record or whatever, I hit play or whatever it is, about our kids' graduation, right? We talked about having a kindergarten and graduating senior. If you're going to be in that home while your kids are in school, buy. And oh, by the way, let's be very clear, get 30-year fixed rate money, right? Don't get variable rate because you don't want that interest rate risk. So that's a caveat. And nobody knows what interest rates will be in a year, but I'm willing to guess they'll be higher in 5 years. Right. So,
agree.
If you're going to be there 7 years, I just don't know why you would regret it. Yes, I understand it's hard, but good news, it's becoming less hard. Pending home sales were down 4.5%. Mortgage apps were down 2%, just got today. So I think supply is going to start to build. We actually went up 10.6% month on month. So it's about to get easier. So don't stop now. The other thing I would tell you in today's market is don't reach, right? If you qualify for 250, don't try to stretch to 280, right? Understand that, a better financial future, you don't want to add that stress to your life.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think it's really important for you. You kind of alluded to this, right? But real estate is very regionalized. And so some markets are very different and at a different phase in the market cycle than where others are. And so typically we talk about, and when you hear doom and gloom, or we're at a bubble or we're not at a bubble, we're looking at a typical cycle that nationally is going from recession to recovery to peak or hyper supply, and then it comes back down, to recession. And so you got these peaks and troughs, but it's not as clear when you talk regionally on paper as it is to just look at the graph, right? Yeah. And so there are certain markets like certain parts of California, Jersey, New York, Connecticut, where people are leaving.
Yep.
And so in those markets, there's less demand than supply. So they're in hyper supply. Yeah. Other markets like Texas, Atlanta, some of the southern states, Florida, they might have been at hyper supply, but because of the sudden migration, now they went backwards, and now they're at, they don't have enough housing for all the people that are coming. So where you live makes a big difference as to where you are in that market cycle, and whether you can predict that in the next couple of years, prices are going to go up, or in the next couple of years, prices are going to go down in that particular market. So educate yourself a little bit on market cycles, figure out where you are, where you want to live. And that can kind of help you to figure out, should I buy now if I think I'm going to move in the next few years? And where do I think we're going to be in that cycle in the next few years?
Yeah, I think the answer, folks, if you're going to buy a house today and live in it for 7 years, you're probably going to be fine, at least in most cases. There may be some regional differences out there, but yeah, the doom and gloom gets more clicks. That's why people keep talking about it. I just don't see it. Anna, how can people get a part of your world?
Thanks for always asking, Michael. So Facebook is the place that I'm most active as Anna REI Mom Kelly. And for my investment opportunities for pretty much mostly just accredited investors, you can check my website out at greaterpurposecapital.com.
You got to check out greaterpurposecapital.com. It is going to change people's lives for the better, both investors, but also, the people out there that she's looking to help. So check it out. And if you ever want to just hear Anna and I talk for hours and hours, she has her own playlist on this channel, link below. I'm willing to guess there's over 100 hours of Anna and I talking about all kinds of topics there. So lots of fun.
And we're not done yet. So keep coming back.
There you go. Every Wednesday. Thanks, Anna.